Hey you guys, my name is Zach. This is my 40-gallon breeder reef tank. The purpose of these videos and the subsequent daily videos are basically just so I can keep track of how my aquarium is doing. There'll be small changes in corals that I'm noting in each of the videos, and in the future if problems arise I can refer to these videos to see how the coral is doing over time. Same with the fish. I'm having some issues that I'd like to keep track of, so this is basically the purpose of the video. If you guys are watching this and you enjoy it, let me know if there's anything you want me to show you in particular, or anything about my system that you have questions about. This is more just for me, but if you guys do like it, just let me know what you guys would like to see. So as you can see, the tank is set up peninsula style. Lighting is done by 2 Aqua Illumination Sol Super Blues. Water movement is provided by a Vortec MP10. You can see I have it about 50% on Reef Press right now. Heat and lighting stuff is controlled by Digital Aquatics Reef Keeper Light, and a what's it called, AI Sol controller. Down below we have a SCA 303 skimmer, just 2 random heaters, Hydor L40 return. You can see the skimmer is producing like disgustingness of stuff. I've been feeding a lot more with coral food, so I would assume that's why it looks like that. But enough about that. I'm just going to go over each of the corals, make little notes on how they're doing, also talk about the fish, the tang in particular, noticing some things that are going on with that. So yeah, I know right off the bat, tang and 40 breeder. It was recommended to me by my LFS, being that it is a peninsula style, so there is a lot of open swimming room. Other than a few issues, he's been doing great. I've only had him for about a week, and these issues may or may not have been caused at the LFS, and that's also the purpose of this video, is to document those issues. Other than that, I have 2 black and white Oscillaris, 2 saltwater mollies, flameback tang, 2 chromis, a 6-line wrasse. You can see him right there. He likes to kind of host that stuff over there. And let me see if I can get a good video of him. A Springary's wrasse, or a Springary's dottyback. You can see him right there. Probably one of my favorite fish in the tank, if not my favorite fish in the tank. So much personality of the little guy, and the colors are just amazing. So I'll start off on the, we'll call this the left side of the tank. This is not the main viewing side of the tank. You can see I have a chair over there that I like to sit in and kind of just watch the reef tank. You also notice that my stand is open. I haven't built the wood frame around it or the canopy, just due to lack of funds. Those AI Sols are not cheap, and so it definitely took up a lot of my budget. Real quick, also down here, you'll see there's a small tank with a light above it, right there. It's going to be a small 4-gallon frag holding area, just to make sure I don't introduce anything into my system. We'll also talk about different frags that I have that may have stuff on them. But let's go ahead and talk about the frags and the corals. So, first coral we're starting out with is my Anthelea coral. As you can see, it's doing extremely well. I had it originally over here under the Vortec, but I moved it for 2 reasons. The main reason was that the clownfish sleep closer to this part of the tank, and so I figured they hosted it in the past. Since I moved everything around, they haven't really found it yet, I guess you'd say. But since moving it over here, it's almost tripled in size, and it is starting to grow relatively well. You can see I got a lot of new growth right there, and a few other areas. I glued the main rock that was onto this larger rock, which also gave it more area to grow, and it is growing quite well. And so yeah, coming up next we have my blue hammer coral colony. You'll see another frag of it on the other side of the tank, and also another frag on it in my other tank, which I'll show you guys in another video. It's doing well. I fragged off like 8 heads off of it the other day to give to somebody in a trade, and it took the fragging relatively well. The next day it was a bit closed up, but other than that, everything seemed to open up the following day, so that coral's doing really well. I haven't measured any amount of growth on it just because it just has so many heads and it would be difficult to do that. But I have noticed that, see right there, I don't know if it's just a shadow from something or maybe that head may or may not be doing worse than the other ones. It's right there. So that's something I would like to keep note of. The 6 line does like to host this coral, and so maybe it is getting a little rough with one of the heads, but we'll talk about that in future videos. You can see right there I have a fairy dust pally and tiger paw zoas. Both of them are doing really well. The tiger paws were closed for the longest time, but now they seem to be opening up relatively well. I have a frag of some unknown zoos. They're opening up, doing quite well. This frag of zoas I do want to talk about. I've had this frag for 3 years. It was given to me by, I didn't give it to me, I purchased it from Mr. Coral online my sophomore year of college. It grew extremely well. I probably had about 150 heads on it, but the tank that everything in here moved from had Bryopsis, so I had to, dump that coral in peroxide, give it a good bath. It didn't like the peroxide bath very well. I think I used too strong of a dose, and I, to be honest, accidentally forgot about them for a few minutes, longer than they were supposed to be in there. So this coral is coming back. It's coloring up quite nicely from what it's been through, and I do want to keep an eye on this one. You can see there's a few heads that are closed, and if you look right there, you see like a tiny little stalk of something. So I do want to take note of that. Moving on, we have some wild zoanthids that I purchased from a local retailer. When they had shipped it to me, there was a small bit of algae right there. I have been dosing it peroxide every once in a while. That is new growth from this past week, so we're almost there with eradicating it off of that frag. There's a few more zoas that I also dipped at the same time. They're all doing, so I'm going to go over those right now. This is also another frag from Mr. Coral. These were labeled as the glow-in-the-dark zoas. There's maybe about 30 heads on there. A few of them are closed up because of the snails on it. There's a small aptasia on it also that I need to deal with, but for the most part, it is coloring up quite nice. I'm probably going to put it in the shade right there, but for now that's where it's going to stay. Some deep water Japanese zoas right here. Can't really get a good look at them because of the I can't really get a good look at them because they're closed. That that hermit crab walked from there over that frag, so they are also closed. So hopefully in the next video tomorrow they're open back up. Some sub-zero zoas right there doing well, and some everlasting gobstoppers that are also doing well. I don't have a lot of names for zoas just because I don't really subscribe to that. So most of them are just going to be like this zoa frag is doing like this, etc. These are purple gray on the inside with lime green on the outside. They're doing very well. They were closed for the longest time. There's about 5 heads on there right now, and they're doing pretty good. They're opening back up now. I think these are dragon eyes right here. Another frag of unknown zoos that isn't opening up quite well right there. So let's go down here to this frog spawn coral. It's doing very well. One next to it also is doing equally well. This is a Scuba Steve frog spawn. It hadn't opened about this wide in the past, and so I do want to take note of the fact that it's not opening as well. I did rearrange the outflow for my return to be more straight across the tank, so I don't know if that's disturbing it in any way. If it is, I might try to put it over there on that side of the tank and kind of see if I can get it to look a little bit better. Green star polyps always doing well in my tank. These pink ones up here also were from Mr. Coral. They've been through a real rough going lately, and so hopefully those will start opening up here pretty soon. I have some more everlasting gobstoppers and zoas that were given to me as Christmas tree zoas on this square frag plug right here. These are doing very well also, opening up, very colorful into the actinics. Right here, another group of wild-caught zoos. For whatever reason. Okay, so we were talking about these zoas right here. You can see half the colony right here is closed up and not looking so hot. I literally have no idea why. My best guess would be that when I dose peroxide, I usually drop it in right above there, and maybe just is getting too strong of a dose of peroxide and it's sitting on the coral. That is like literally the only thing I can think of. The other half of the colony is doing great, coloring up quite nicely, and this other half right here that's just maybe a quarter of an inch away has just pretty much all died. So I do want to keep an eye on this coral in particular. Going back to this coral real quick, this is probably one of my favorite corals, the pink zoos right here. So I am hoping that they recover. They are opening up a little bit and starting to get that long fleshy polyps that I had on the colony when I first got them. And so I do hope that they continue to do well for me at this spot. Going back up here, the last coral that I forgot to talk about, not even a coral, excuse me, the last specimen I forgot to talk about, is this green bubble tip anemone. It's not too large, probably about the size of a ping pong ball, maybe a golf ball. It's doing well for me. I've had it for 2 days now. Got it from a buddy of mine who says that these are the hardiest that he's ever owned. He said they get about the size of a tennis ball and then they split. So you can see it's really tucked in there quite nicely into the rock. It's about level with the flow of the vortex, and it's one of the reasons why I do have the vortex turned down just a little bit, just because I do want it to settle in before I start blasting with the flow. It also has a nice cross flow from the return pump, and so it seems like where it's at. I haven't tried feeding it yet, but if I do, I'll probably try to get that on video so you guys can see it consume some mysis. Just going to the front of the tank, we just have a, grab a seat here, we have a frag of the blue hammer that you see on the other side. If you look right here, right in the center, there's one head that is just a little bit more closed up than the other ones. I do want to take note of that, but I don't know if it's maybe feeding or you know, whatever, but I do want to take note of that for future reference. Down here, you see this frag is used as closed up. It's been closed up on me for about a month now. I took it off the rock where it was at and did a freshwater bath last night, and then I, while freshwater bathing it, put in some peroxide, just a real quick 30-second dip of peroxide. A lot of stuff did come off of the coral. It didn't look like any pest I've ever seen. It just looked like mucus. So I assumed that was the coral responding to the peroxide bath, but I've had great success with peroxide baths on zoas in the past, and so I'm hoping that eventually they'll start opening up again, because these are extremely beautiful red zoas that I got from a really good friend of mine. So yeah, so moving forward, we have these zoas right here. I have no idea what they're called. If I had to give them a name, I'd just call them Joker Pallies, just because they're purple with a green ring around them. I have 5 of them right now. They're sitting on top of a frag of, I believe, dragon eyes or just some common zoo. But man, these are so pretty. Under the Actinics, these look great. Coming up here, we have a real nice frag of candy apple greens. You can see some stringy substance floating off of them. Maybe that the zoas are pooing. I did feed them last night some cyclopes, and so maybe they're excreting some of that. You'll see a frag of orange zoos. These are not bam bams. This frag was in the same boat as the alien eyes and the green ones before. It had Baropsis on it, so it does look a little rough right now, but it is coming back. You can see right here, this is the longest coral that the coral that I've owned the longest. It's a long tentacle Duncan, and it's probably my pride and joy of this tank, along with my toadstool. You can see there's a few heads that have died on the back end. There's some skeleton showing. I don't know if you caught that, but let me see if I can get you right there. You can see that one. There's 2 heads next to it that passed away. I have no idea why it passed away the first time. It just one day started looking pretty bad, then it started looking well again, and since then it just hasn't recovered. I did add a silicone base sump to the tank that I siliconed the pieces in, and after that first initial few weeks of it looking bad, it started looking right back to normal, and then when I added the water to the sump, pretty much all the heads started excreting a pollen-like substance. They all lost all their tentacles. It was just the flesh of the head, and you can see it's bouncing back quite nicely. Glued it to a frag plug, got it off the sand bed, put it in some nice little flow from the vortex, and it seems to be loving it up here. So I definitely do want to keep an eye on this coral, and hopefully it'll come back to its former glory for me. There's the front side of that pink zoa frag. These pink pallies, they're actually very surprising to me. They weren't the most attractive pallies when I got them, and even now you can't really see the color of them just because it's light's kind of drowning them out a little bit. You can see maybe a little bit right here. They're very pretty, just pink pallies. They're doing extremely well, opening up quite nicely. They also have a little bit of a tiny blue dot in the center where the mouth is. So those are doing well. I do hope that they cover up this entire rock with time. That'd be awesome for me. Another frag of LPS. I got this one from my second tank, which is my girlfriend's tank. Her tank has higher phosphates, so it wasn't doing as well. It's actually from the same frag mother colony as the one back there, and you can see it is not doing as well. Just not extending as well. So I feel like I'm going to give it a few more weeks, and hopefully it starts to look well before I try to put it back into that tank when I do lower the phosphates on it. Favorite Zoofrag right here, Rasta frag that I got from a friend of mine. I think it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heads on it right now. It's doing very well, really colors up quite nicely. I do want it to overtake this side of the rock. It is an extremely fast grower. I don't know if it's just a strand I got from him or Ross's in general are just fast growers, but it has been doing fantastic for me in this tank. So moving forward, we have some more zoos right here. These are just like turquoise with gold centered zoos. No real name for them here, but those are doing well for me also. Down here we have some vanilla ice pallies with some radioactive dragon eyes. I'm holding this frag for the second tank until I get a chance to go over to my girlfriend's house and drop this one off. This frag was a champ though. I gave a guy, this is all DIY live rock in here, with the exception of that purple rock right there. This is all DIY live rock, and I ended up getting a lot from a friend of mine. Didn't use all of it, I had extra, and so I decided to pay it forward and hook this guy up with maybe about 25 pounds of rock, 25 pounds of rock. And he gave me this frag, and I wasn't expecting him to give me a frag, and so I was out of town and I dropped it off for him. And so this frag was in a Ziploc bag and a styrofoam cup for 2 days, and this frag was a champ. It was opening in the bag. The whole time it was open in the bag with just fluorescent light, and it's doing great. Those radioactive dragon eyes are extremely green, extremely fleshy on the polyps, and so this is going to be a nice addition to my second tank. Down here, these 3 frags, or these 4 are all that I got this weekend. These are pink elephant pallies, green center with a real nice pinkish, fleshy overtone. I have 4 polyps of this right here. Some LA Lakers zoas. You can see there is some hair algae. Hopefully it's hair algae, maybe it's Bryopsis, but it is the reason why I want to get this tank down here set up relatively quickly so I can put these in there and treat it accordingly so it doesn't introduce into my main system. These right here are called Icebreakers pallies. They're teal with a goldish blue ring on the outside. Being that I was super broke when I went to this guy's house and not expecting to buy any coral, I only picked up the 1 head frag that he had, so hopefully this grows up for me nicely. The torch that I've been having issues with this past week has actually been looking amazing. I kind of, switched the water around next to it with my hand so it closed up, just so I can show you what I believe to be the head splitting on me. I've had torches do this in the past, and so this is awesome. I've been dosing some calcium to the system, so the head's beginning to split is a good sign for me. Hopefully it's not tissue recession. I do not believe it to be because how great it's been looking in my tank. But I would like to note that. In the next video I'll probably show it to you guys open, and then after the video kind of close it up so I can get a good look at how that is doing over time. So the video is about to cut off. I'm going to make this on my computer, and then we'll shoot the final part of it. Alright, so when the video last left off we were talking about this torch coral. You can see since the video ended it's been opening up a little bit more. Like I said, it's been doing really well. I do hope that it is splitting into 2 heads. And if so, that would be great. It shows that what I've been doing has been working. Up here we have a real nice hammer coral. I've had this one for about a year, a little bit over a year and a quarter now, and it's just doing great. Got it last Easter, I think, and yeah, it's been doing really well. It's been in a friend's tank for a while when he was looking after it for me, and now it's back in my tank, so probably one of my more longer owned corals. One thing I did want to talk about while the tang is out is I noticed, I don't know if it's ick maybe on the tang. It looked really bad Monday night when I got home. You can see now he just has a little bit of something on his fins, and on the left side right there there's a white patch on his skin. I don't know if it's from running into the rocks because he's not familiar with the tank, or if he may have had it in the tank at the store because he was hiding in the tank at the store. But that is something that I would like to take note of. for a future video. You can see right here I have a long tentacle plate coral. It is resting on an egg crate riser just for the time being. Right here in the middle, you really can't see it because of the way it's inflated, but there was some skeleton showing when I purchased it, and so I did want to take note of that. It's been doing great. It's been opening up. It's like I haven't even seen the skeleton. It's only at night, so maybe at night I'll film another part of this video just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But right now it's liking where it's at. It's extending quite nicely. At the store, the tentacles were a tad bit longer, and so I'm hoping that once it settles in and finds the right kind of flow, that it'll open up. Here's another shot of the tang. You can see there's not really anything on it right now, just a little bit of cloudiness in those fins right there. I don't know if that's how ick begins with tangs. If so, I do have the ability to catch him and put him in a medication tank. But for now, he's doing well. He's swimming. He hasn't been flashing really on anything. And so I'm hoping that he just continues doing well. He has started to come out more. He's picking rocks a lot more. And so I'm hoping that with more feedings and a higher quality food that he'll probably heal up on his own and I won't have to pull him out of the tank. Right here you see my leather coral. I told you guys earlier in the video it is probably one of my more prized corals that I own. I'm actually getting another leather coral to go right here, cover up this empty patch of rocks. And it's going to be a little bit bigger than this one. It's probably going to be 5-inch diameter, radius, whatever. Diameter, yeah, that'd be huge if it was whatever. But anyway, so I'm picking up one tomorrow. I do like them, and I do hope that one of my clowns will host the second one I get. Just because this is a neon green toadstool, you can see how green the tentacles are, even under the white lights. The other one I'm getting is going to be a long tentacle one, so it's not as pretty, but the tentacles are going to be a lot longer. Coming up here, we have some, what were sold to me as fire and ice zoas. I don't know how accurate that is. For whatever reason, I've only stayed at 3 heads for the longest time on these, so I'm hoping that whenever I do get some more zoas, I can pull these off the rock, and you know, maybe they'll grow better in lower light. Up here, people eater zoas, got those from Mr. Coral, doing extremely well. I think I have like 11 heads right now. You see right here, some of these lower heads are starting to bleach. It may be because of the lights, or it may be that they had just opened up after the peroxide dosing. So I do want to keep an eye on those lower heads right there. Up here, this is I think the last coral. No, there's 2 more. There's 1 more after this that were bleached with the bryopsis. You can see there's just a tiny little bit growing back on it. These are blue zoas with brown centers. They're not true tubs, but they do look quite good. But these are doing great. They're opening up quite nicely for me. And man, I originally had made a plan with this guy to buy these off of him, and then he decided to keep them. And then like a month later, and I was so upset. I was like, man, those are beautiful zoas. And a month later, he hit me up and told me he wanted to sell them. So that was pretty nice of him to keep me in mind. These are called red hot chili pepper zoas. Nice little colony of these. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 11 heads on these. They're orange with a like a neon blue center with brown skirts. So those are doing really well for me. Magician's Pallies, I have 5 heads right now. I started with 3, now I'm on to 5 heads. So these are doing great for me right here. This coral here just loves my tank for whatever reason. I don't know why. I started with 4 heads about 3 months ago, and or maybe 2 months ago. Now I have 12 heads, so these are doing really well for me. One of my better zoas that I have right now. Gosh, I don't know, there's so many heads back there. They're like brown with orange. They're not armor of gods. I think you called them devil's armor when I purchased them. But yeah, so those are those. And some blue and red zoas. They're not true Spider-Mans, but they're also they're recovering still, so they will look better in the future videos. One thing I did want to comment on is when I thought I had ick on the tang, I also noticed that this fish down here may have had some ick on him. He just hangs out here all day, and then he'll go swim around, and then he'll come back over here. So I don't know what exactly is going on with him. You can't really see him because he's a black fish and there's a black wall in the tank. But hopefully nothing happens to him. That was a saltwater molly. There's the other one. There was a third, but the third passed away a few days after acclimation. I don't think he took the acclimation very well. The acclimation for that was over the period of a day, I increased the salinity from 0, or I guess like 1.0 to 1.025 over the period of a day. Every 30 minutes, I would add a little bit of salt water and take out some fresh water. So, yeah. The next videos that I do won't take as long just because I won't have to introduce all the corals. I'll just kind of talk about what I'm noticing and how things are doing. So yeah, just the big things are the torch, the ick on the tang, or the ick on the tang if it is ick, and these zoas right there in the front that I'll pay the most attention to in the next video. Hopefully that molly over there pulls through. I did a freshwater dip on him. Not a freshwater, like I did the freshwater to saltwater acclimation on him. So hopefully he takes it well as the orange one has. You can see the orange one has been swimming around this entire video. Real quick, just a FTS starting over there. This is all DIY man-made rock. I didn't make it myself. A buddy of mine did, but he did a really good job on it. I'm running 2 soles, as I said before. And yeah, I'm really surprised with how great everything's doing. It's my first time using man-made rock in a system like this, and so I was a little worried that the pH might not have been neutralized correctly, but everything checked out amazingly. The diatom bloom ended about like 3 weeks ago, and the tang and the cleanup crew is really just like cleaning up whatever's left of that. For cleanup crew, I think I have like 10 hermit crabs, just like your general reef cleaning hermit crabs, and then I have like 10, 15 snails and 1 turbo snail. I do want to get a second one, but for now the one is doing great. And yeah, like I said, I do want to get 1 more chromis also, just because I got 3 originally and one of them didn't make it, make the acclimation. Just never did well, just breathing hard the whole time that it was in the tank, and then slowly it passed away. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I want to try to do one of these videos as often as possible. Every day would be awesome, but if not, you know, pretty much as often as possible. I do want to keep note on the anemone, just so if it does start to go downhill, I have a nice reference of where it was and where it is now. So I guess we'll just give you one more look at the back of the tank, and we'll catch up with you guys at another time. So there's that. And there's the anemone doing great. Alright, thanks guys, thanks for watching.